The nightmare begins deep in the Scottish Highlands, inside what should have been a safe family home. Young Jimmy is killing time in front of the television, surrounded by his sisters and cousins, when an eerie siren suddenly screams outside. Instantly, the adults react. Doors are slammed shut. The children are ordered not to move, but fear spreads faster than obedience. From beyond the walls, shouting and crashing echo through the house. Jimmy edges toward the door, calling out for his father, only to feel the door violently shudder in its frame. Before anyone can react, it bursts open. Creatures pour inside. Their movements are frantic, their hunger uncontrollable. These are not people anymore. In seconds, the girls are overwhelmed. Jimmy survives only because he's hidden from view. He slips away, helplessly witnessing his mother's death in another room, as familiar faces twist into something monstrous. One by one, his family falls to the infection. Somehow, Jimmy escapes the house alive. Outside is no safer. With infected roaming the streets, Jimmy runs to the church, desperate to find his father. But instead of salvation, he finds fanaticism. The priest believes this outbreak is divine judgment. To him, the infected are not cursed, they're chosen. He presses a gold cross into Jimmy's hands and urges him to embrace faith. Then the windows shatter. The infected storm in. Jimmy runs. His father doesn't. He stays behind, welcoming what he believes is redemption. Moments later, he's bitten and lost. The world has fallen to the rage virus. Europe manages to contain it by sealing off the United Kingdom, and Britain becomes a quarantined wasteland, cut off, abandoned, and left to rot. 28 years later, a fragile civilization survives on Lindisfarne Island, protected by tides that separate it from the mainland. Here, children are raised to hunt, not hope. Today, a boy named Spike faces a rite of passage, killing his first infected. His father, Jamie, prepares him for the day, but their mourning is interrupted when Spike's mother, Isla, collapses in her room. She's sick, confused, and terrified, especially when she learns Spike is being trained to kill. The argument fades as quickly as it begins. Isla's memory slips in and out, leaving her trapped in fragments of reality. Before they leave, Spike is gifted a handmade bow. The entire community gathers, cheering him on. But the rules are clear. Anyone who leaves the island may return, unless they don't make it back. No rescues, no exceptions. Spike and Jamie cross the causeway as the tide recedes, stepping into a land frozen in decay. Jamie talks about the old world, cities far from the sea, a life Spike can barely imagine. Their first encounter is almost peaceful, an infected crawling slowly, a bird perched on its back. When it stops to feed, Spike takes his shot. One arrow, clean kill. But the calm doesn't last. More infected appear. Jamie steps in when needed, but lets Spike make decisions. When Spike chooses mercy once, Jamie sees it as growth, not weakness. They push deeper into the forest and discover something disturbing, an infected hanging upside down, marked with carved letters. Someone had captured him when he was human and left him to turn. Spike hesitates. Fear takes over. The infected breaks free, forcing Spike to act. He does. Soon after, they find a mutilated animal displayed high in a tree, its spine ripped clean out. Jamie knows instantly what that means. An alpha is nearby. The hunt becomes a chase. A massive horde emerges, led by something stronger, faster, smarter. As they flee, Jamie continues teaching Spike under pressure, how to shoot while moving, where to aim to kill fast. They retreat to an abandoned house, fighting their way inside and sealing themselves in the attic. Hours pass. The alpha doesn't leave. Jamie explains the truth. Alphas don't go down easily. They need more arrows than they have left. All they can do is wait. That night, Spike sees strange lights, patrols in the distance, and a fire further inland. Jamie refuses to talk about it. When Spike falls asleep, nightmares blur with reality. The house begins to shake for real. They barely escape before the roof collapses. The sound draws everything. They sprint for the causeway as the tide begins to rise. Birds scatter into the sky, and the alpha appears behind them. Spike slips. Jamie saves him. Together, they reach the island as guards light up the shoreline. Fire arrows finally bring the alpha down. Spike survives his first hunt. The island celebrates. Drinks are poured, stories are exaggerated. Spike feels sick, not proud. Overwhelmed, he stumbles outside and witnesses something worse than the infected. His father, with another woman. That night, Spike learns about Dr. Kelson, the man behind the distant fire. Jamie refuses to speak of him, but Illa's convinced condition worsens. She needs medicine. She needs help. Spike confronts his father about Kelson, about the affair. It explodes. Jaime strikes him, then instantly regrets it, but the damage is done. Spike makes a decision. He creates a distraction, setting a barn ablaze and calling the guards to help. While the island panics, Spike takes Isla and leaves, crossing back into the mainland alone. The journey is slow and exhausting. Isla drifts between past and present, sometimes believing Spike is her own father. That night, an infected slips into their shelter, but Isla, in a sudden flash of clarity, kills it herself. Spike doesn't even realize how close death came. As they travel, Isla's condition worsens. A nosebleed nearly gets her killed. Blood draws infected instantly. Spike fights desperately, protecting her at all costs. They finally reach a gas station, but it becomes a trap. Fumes fill the air, infected pour in. They're cornered. Just as it seems hopeless, a ceiling hatch opens. A soldier named Eric pulls them to safety. The soldier opens fire. Gunshots tear through the gas station, and the bullets ignite the fumes still hanging in the air. The explosion is immediate and violent. Fire races across the ceiling, swallowing the infected in seconds. They claw at the exits, screaming as flames consume them before they can escape. Spike and Isla stay hidden long enough to survive. When the fire settles, they rush outside. Isla collapses almost instantly, vomiting and clutching her head as the adrenaline fades. The soldier, Eric, approaches them, clearly shaken. He asks where they're going, what the plan is. Spike has no answer. That terrifies Eric more than the infected ever did. With nowhere else to go, Eric chooses to follow them. He even carries Isla when she's too weak to walk. Hours later, they stop to rest and share a handful of apples. Eric checks his phone. No signal, barely any battery left. Spike has never seen one before, so Eric explains what it is and shows him a photo of his girlfriend. Spike studies the image, confused. To him, the woman looks unnatural. When the battery finally dies, Eric tosses the phone aside like it belongs to a different lifetime. They continue forward until Isla hears something. Ignoring the men, she follows the sound to an abandoned train crawling with rats. Inside, she finds something no one expects, an infected pregnant woman. At first, the creature reacts with aggression, but Isla approaches calmly, speaking softly, helping her through the pain. The baby is coming. When Spike and Eric arrive, Isla orders Spike to cut the cord. She washes the newborn carefully, hands trembling. But when the infected mother lunges forward, Eric panics and shoots her dead. Then he raises the gun toward the baby. Spike and Isla stop him. The child isn't infected. She's human. Eric doesn't believe it and prepares to fire anyway, until an infected hand crashes through the ceiling and yanks him upward. A massive figure drops into the train.
The Alpha sees the dead infected mother and explodes with rage. Spike fires arrow after arrow, barely slowing it down as they flee. They escape the train, but the Alpha follows until a dart slams into its neck. It collapses. Out of the shadows steps Dr. Kelson. He explains calmly that iodine coats his body, shielding him from infection. He retrieves Eric's head and names the Alpha Samson, revealing he studied him from a distance for years. Normally, Kelson avoids contact, but today is different. Spike begs him to help Isla. Kelson agrees and leads them to his sanctuary, a bone temple built from thousands of skeletons. Pillars of bones rise from the ground. Skulls are stacked into towering monuments. Eric's head is burned clean in a fire. Once the flesh is gone, Kelson washes the skull and asks Spike to place it among the others. Then Kelson examines Isla. The truth is devastating. She doesn't have an infection. She has terminal cancer. Spike breaks down, unable to understand why medicine can't fix this. Isla pulls him close and gently admits she suspected it for a long time. While Spike looks away, Isla silently gives Kelson permission to end her suffering. Kelson explains two ideas: memento mori, remember you must die, and memento amoris, remember to die with love. Isla places the baby in Spike's arms. Then she walks into the forest with Kelson. Spike waits, remembering laughter, warmth, and safety, until Kelson returns with Isla's clean skull. As the sun rises, Spike climbs the tower and places his mother at the very top. She watches over everything now. Later that morning, Samson returns. Kelson forces Spike and the baby into a hidden pit. Samson finds them, roaring and tearing at the lid, but can't break through. Samson crashes back through the structure, grabbing Kelson and choking him. Spike reacts without thinking, grabbing a sedative dart and plunging it into the Alpha's arm. Samson drops. Kelson survives. With nothing left tying him to the island, Spike returns home alone, carrying the baby in a basket. He names her Isla and leaves her at the gate with a note for Jenny. Jamie reads it later. Spike is gone. He doesn't want to be followed. The baby is safe. Kelson was never insane. Jamie tries to chase his son, but the tide has already risen too high.
And that's where the story ends.